Chapter 1: The Invitation. Scene 1: The package arrives. Evening light bled through Lena Carter's apartment blinds as she sorted through her mail. Bills, a magazine, and then the package. Description: a plain brown box, no return address, postmarked from a town she didn't recognize. The paper felt unnaturally cold, like something kept in a freezer. Reasoning establishes an immediate sense of wrongness. The coldness hints at supernatural influence. Inside, nestled in tissue paper, lay two objects. One, a cracked porcelain doll, its glassy eyes staring up at her. One side of its face was shattered, revealing hollow darkness beneath. Lena's breath caught. She'd had nightmares about a doll like this as a child, one her dead sister, Lena, used to whisper about. Purpose personalizes the horror, tying the threat to Lena's past trauma. 2. A cassette tape, the kind no one used anymore. Scrawled on the label in smudged ink, "Play me." Reasoning: anachronistic technology, like the house itself, feels out of time, unsettling. Dash over. Scene 2: The recording. Against her better judgment, Lena dug out an old player from her closet. Why did she even own one? The tape hissed, then whispers. Faint, overlapping voices, too muddled to understand. But beneath them, a child's voice. "Come home, Lena." Twist: when played backward, which Lena tries on impulse, the same phrase repeats, but now in her sister's exact tone. A voice Lena hasn't heard in 20 years. Her hands shook. The tape ended with 3 loud knocks, matching perfectly the sound of someone rapping on her apartment door. Dash over. Scene 3: The knock. Lena froze. The knocks came again, 3 sharp strikes. Not the doorbell, not a neighbor. 3, just like in the tape. Description: she peered through the peephole. The hallway was empty, but when she opened the door, a letter lay on the mat, addressed to her in elegant, looping script. Twist: the moment she touched it, she recognized the slant of the handwriting. It was hers, but she'd never written it. The letter read, "You're needed at Blackwood House. They're waiting." Dash over. Lena Carter. Purpose introduces the core mystery. How can she be receiving a letter from herself? Is it a forgery, a premonition, or proof she's forgotten something vital? Dash over. Scene 4. The research begins. Lena, a journalist, couldn't resist digging. Her laptop glowed in the dark as she searched Blackwood House. Findings: a family vanished there in 1972. No bodies, just abandoned meals and a single child's shoe left on the stairs. Recent urban explorers reported hearing whispers and seeing a woman in the windows, even though the house was sealed. Personal connection: the town was only 30 miles from where Lena's sister died. Reasoning: gives plausible reason for Lena to investigate. Professional curiosity plus personal unresolved grief. Dash over. Scene 5. The first omen. Lena went to bed, dismissing it all as coincidence. But at 3:07 a.m., the time her sister drowned, she woke to the doll now sitting upright on her dresser, facing the bed. Its shattered side oozing something dark. Whispers: This time, clear as a breath in her ear. "You already said yes." Final line. Under her pillow, her fingers brushed paper. The letter was now in her bed, and the signature had changed. It now read, _ Eleanor Blackwood. Why this works. 1. Seamless connection to later chapters. The doll's reappearance foreshadows Chapter 3's shadow figure, Eleanor watching her. The tape's backward message hints at the house's time-warping abilities, critical for the ending twist. The letter's changing signature sets up the reveal that Lena and Eleanor are linked. 2. Psychological complexity. Is Lena repressing memories of visiting before? Is the house editing reality around her? 3. Unshakable dread. Every rational explanation is undermined. For example, the tape, the handwriting. Final touch. Add a fleeting moment where Lena's reflection blinks out of sync in the bathroom mirror. She dismisses it as exhaustion, but the reader knows better. Chapter 2. Crossing the Threshold. Scene 1. The Forgotten Town. The road to Blackwood House wound through a town that seemed to exhale dust. Storefronts shuttered, paint peeling like sunburnt skin. The only sign of life was a flickering neon sign, Marlowe's Diner. The diner's windows were fogged with grease, the booths cracked and hollow as rib cages. A single customer sat hunched at the counter, an elderly woman with a shawl draped over her shoulders, her fingers curled around a teacup that hadn't been filled in hours. Purpose establishes the town as a liminal space caught between the living and the dead. The untouched teacup is the first clue that something is wrong with the woman. Lena slid into the booth opposite her. "I'm looking for Blackwood House." The warning. The woman's voice was a dry rattle. "Some doors shouldn't be opened, child." Oh, her pupils were clouded with cataracts, yet they darted to the window as if something lurked outside. Oh, twist. When Lena reached for her notepad, the woman grabbed her wrist. Her skin was cold as clay. "They'll make you hear. That's the worst part." Scene 2. The house at dusk. Blackwood House loomed at the end of a skeletal driveway, its gables sagging like a beast lowering its head to sniff prey. The front door was nailed shut with crosses, not Christian, but inverted, their bases pointing downward. The wood was scarred with deep gouges, as if something had tried to claw its way out. Purpose reinforces the house's unnatural history. The inverted crosses suggest a perversion of protection, hinting at Eleanor's occult experiments. Lena pried the boards loose. The door creaked open. The first whisper. A chorus of voices sighed from the darkness. "You're late." Connection to later chapters. This line will be repeated in Chapter 7 when Lena realizes the house has been waiting for her specifically. Scene 3. The Dead Woman's Secret. Lena returned to the diner at dawn. The old woman still sat at the counter, unmoved, but her teacup was now full of black liquid, swirling lazily despite no one touching it. Lena shook her shoulder. The woman's body collapsed into dust, her shawl fluttering to the ground. Beneath it, a wax-sealed envelope addressed to Lena, the same handwriting as the first letter. Inside, A photo of the Blackwood family, their faces scratched out. A child's fingernail glued to the back. Oh, twist! The diner owner walked in, startled. That booth's been empty for years. Old Miss Vanya died back in '85. Found her right there, ears packed with wax. Purpose: confirms the supernatural is eroding time. The fingernail foreshadows the child's handprint Lena will find in the house. Scene 4. The first nightfall. Back at Blackwood House, Lena lit a lantern. The flame burned blue-green, casting elongated shadows that didn't match the furniture. The investigation. Upstairs, a child's room was frozen in time. A tiny nightgown laid out on the bed, still damp. The closet door was slightly ajar. Inside, Lena found a stack of letters, all addressed to her, all unopened, dated next year. Psychological torment. A whisper from the hallway, "Lena, come play." Her sister's voice. When Lena turned, the nightgown was now on the floor, crumpled as if someone had stepped out of it. Purpose: the misplaced shadows and time-displaced letters hint at the house's dimensional instability, crucial for the time loop twist in the finale. Scene 5. The handprint. In the kitchen, Lena found the fridge door slightly open. Inside, rotting food, crawling with maggots, but the stench was sweet, like decayed flowers. On the wall, a small, fresh handprint in what looked like jam. When Lena touched it, the substance was cold and pulsing, like congealed blood. Oh, twist! Her own hand stung. She looked down. Her palm was stained red, though the jam hadn't touched her. Connection to later chapters. This mirrors Chapter 6, when Lena sleepwalks and leaves her own handprints in ritual symbols. Why this works. 1. Seamless tie-ins. The diner's empty teacup parallels the abandoned meals in the Blackwood house. The blue-green flame reappears in Chapter 7 when Daniel burns alive. The whispered, "You're late," becomes a critical clue about Lena's role in the cycle. 2. Escalating horror. The woman's disintegration proves the house's influence extends beyond its walls. The time-displaced letters deepen the mystery without explaining it. 3. Character motivation. Lena's journalist instincts push her to stay, but the personal connections, her sister's voice, the letters, make it emotional, not just professional. Final line. As Lena fled to her car, the house's front door swung shut behind her, though no wind blew. Through the window, a shadow waved. Chapter 3. The First Night. Scene 1. The house awakens. The moment Lena locked the front door behind her, the air thickened, not with dust, but with something alive. The walls exhaled. Description: the house groaned like an old ship at sea. Floorboards creaked under unseen footsteps, pacing just outside her line of sight. Purpose: establishes the house as a living entity, reacting to her presence. The footsteps foreshadow Chapter 6, when Lena discovers she's been sleepwalking and leaving the marks herself. Lena set up her recorder, its red light blinking like a cyclops' eye. Static hissed, then a whisper. "You shouldn't be here alone." Twist: the voice was hers, but distorted, as if recorded years from now. Connection: mirrors the tape from Chapter 1, reinforcing the time loop theme. Scene 2. The diary appears. In the master bedroom, Lena found Eleanor Blackwood's diary wedged inside a crumbling wall, as if the house had coughed it up for her. First read. O entries detailed Eleanor's fear of her husband, who smiled with too many teeth. The final entry. The house is hungry. It's learning how to wear us. Description. The pages smelled of burnt hair and left a greasy residue on her fingers. Lena set it aside, then gasped. New writing slithered across the page. Lena, you're in the blue room now. You'll hear a child crying at 3:17 a.m. Don't answer it. Twist, the diary updated in real time, describing her current actions and predicting future events. Purpose introduces the idea that the house scripts reality, making Lena question her free will. Scene 3. The Crying Child. At exactly 3:17 a.m., a child's sob echoed down the hall, wet and gasping like a drowning girl. Lena's choice. Against the diary's warning, she followed the sound to a nursery. The rocking chair moved on its own. In it, the porcelain doll from Chapter 1, now missing its arms. The crying came from inside the walls. Horror payoff. When Lena pressed her ear to the plaster, something pressed back. A small, cold handprint forming against the surface. Connection. The handprint mirrors Chapter 2's jam-stained wall, showing the entity growing bolder. Scene 4. The diary changes again. Lena flipped back to the diary. A new entry. You looked, Lena. Now it knows you're listening. Beneath it, a sketch of Lena sleeping with a shadow figure crouched over her, identical to the photo she'd find in Chapter 4. Twist, the diary now included images of events that hadn't happened yet. Purpose sets up the time loop reveal in later chapters where Lena realizes she's repeating a cycle. Scene 5. The Reflection. Exhausted, Lena splashed water on her face in the bathroom. The mirror flickered. For 1 second, her reflection didn't move. Then it smiled and whispered, Eleanor waited too. Behind her, the shadow of a woman appeared in the doorway. Twist, when Lena spun around, the hallway was empty, but the diary now lay open on the sink, a fresh line added. See, it's easier when you stop fighting. Connection. This shadow figure is Eleanor, revealed in Chapter 7 to be merged with the house. Why this works. 1. Seamless tie-ins. O Entry's distorted voice pays off in Chapter 8 when Lena hears her own screams from the future. The doll's missing arms foreshadow Chapter 5 when Daniel finds a real child's bones in the walls. 2. Escalating horror. The diary's real-time updates make the threat feel inescapable. The child's cries personalize the terror, linking to Lena's guilt over her sister's death. 3. Psychological dread. The diary writing back strips Lena of control, mirroring her descent into possession. Final line. As dawn bled through the curtains, Lena realized the diary's last page was no longer blank. It read, "Tonight, You'll let me in. Chapter 4. The History Unfolds. Scene 1. The Town Archives. The Blackwood case files should have been dust and brittle paper. Instead, they were damp, as if recently pulled from water. Description: the archive's basement smelled of wet soil and copper. The walls streaked with vertical scratches, like something had been dragged upward. Purpose: mirrors the claw marks on Blackwood House's doors, hinting at the same entity's presence. Librarian Thomas Greer, a gaunt man with ink-stained fingers, hesitated before sliding a box toward her. His warning: the police photos are unnatural. His Adam's apple bobbed, like the house didn't want to be photographed. Twist: when Lena lifted the lid, the first photo was of the Blackwoods' dining table, food rotting, chairs empty. But in the background reflection of a mirror, shadowy figures sat perfectly still, their faces blurred. Connection: foreshadows Chapter 7's reveal that the family was absorbed into the house's consciousness. The Tongue and Tongue. Scene 2. The Missing Journalist. Lena uncovered a 1998 news clipping. Reporter vanishes after Blackwood house investigation. Description: the article mentioned the journalist's final notes. The whispers say my name. They're not echoes, they're invitations. Twist: the journalist's photo resembled Daniel, Chapter 5's paranormal investigator, but aged prematurely, his eyes blackened like spoiled fruit. Purpose: plants doubt about Daniel's true identity and motives early. Greer's breath hitched. He was the third to disappear. The first was a little girl in '76. They found her hair ribbon nailed to the house's door. Connection: the ribbon matches the one on the doll from Chapter 1, tying Lena's haunting to past victims. Scene 3. The Librarian's Fate. Lena returned the next morning to find the archives locked. A foul odor seeped from under the door, sweet and meaty, like overcooked pork. Discovery: Greer hung from the ceiling pipes, his neck twisted 180 degrees, face pressed against his own back. His mouth gaped, his tongue missing. Body horror: his fingertips were shredded, as if he'd clawed at his own throat. On the desk, a note in his handwriting: they lie with silence. Twist: as Lena backed away, something heavy thumped in her coat pocket. Greer's severed tongue, wrapped in parchment. You'll need this to hear the truth. Purpose: the tongue symbolizes stolen voices, linking to the whispers, and forces Lena to confront the house's physical influence on the real world. Scene 4. The Hidden Tape. In Greer's desk, Lena found a mold-caked cassette labeled EB Last Words. The recording: Eleanor Blackwood's voice, frantic. It's not a house, it's a throat, and it swallows. A wet, gulping noise, then a child giggling. We're supposed to stay quiet, but you'll scream, won't you? Twist: the child's voice was Lena's sister's. Connection: confirms the house preys on personal grief, setting up Lena's breakdown in Chapter 6. Scene 5. The First Ritual. Back at the house, Lena examined the tongue. It twitched in her palm, then dissolved into black sludge that seeped into her skin. Transformation: For 3 seconds, the whispers became clear sentences. Eleanor cut her husband's tongue out first. That's why he couldn't warn you. Daniel isn't who he says he is. Horror payoff. The sludge left vein-like marks up her arm, spelling one word in raised flesh. Listen. Purpose. The tongue's message hints at Daniel's betrayal in Chapter 7, while showing the house's corruption spreading physically. Why this works. 1. Seamless tie-ins. The blurred figures in the police photo reappear in Chapter 7's climax as the absorbed family. The black sludge foreshadows the liquid shadows that kill Daniel. Greer's twisted neck mirrors how the house warps reality. 2. Escalating stakes. The tongue is both a clue and a violation, proving the horror is now inside Lena. The tape reveals the house tailors its torments to victims' traumas. 3. Psychological dread. Lena's involuntary absorption of the tongue mirrors her eroding free will. That night, Lena dreamt of teeth, not in a mouth, but in the walls, chewing softly. Chapter 5. The Second Visitor. Scene 1. The Stranger at the Door. A pounding shake rattled Blackwood House's front door. 3 sharp knocks, just like the ones in Lena's apartment. The man on the porch was all sharp angles, a lean frame under a rain-slicked coat, his stubble flecked with silver. But his eyes were wrong, too dark, too still, like painted marbles. Introduction. Daniel Reeves, he said, flashing a paranormal investigator's badge. Heard you're poking around where you shouldn't. Purpose. Establishes Daniel as a wild card, ally or threat. His knock ties him to Lena's supernatural summons from Chapter 1. Scene 2. The Hidden Photo. Daniel spread his grandmother's research across the kitchen table. Yellowed news clippings, a map of the house with rooms that shouldn't exist, and a sealed envelope. The reveal. My grandmother was the Blackwoods maid, Daniel said, sliding a photo toward Lena. The image showed a young woman in a maid's uniform, her back to the camera. Twist. When Lena turned it over, the woman's face in the mirror reflection was hers. Lena's reaction, "This is impossible." Daniel cut her off. "Is it? Then why do you know the house's layout? Why did you go straight to the blue room on your first night?" Purpose. Forces Lena to question her own memories. The blue room reference calls back to Chapter 3's diary prophecy. Scene 3. The house pushes back. As they argued, the walls wept black liquid, forming words on the floorboards. You shouldn't have brought him. Description. The sludge smelled of burnt hair and wet soil, same as the archive's basement. It crawled toward Daniel's boots like living tendrils. Violent turn. Daniel grabbed Lena's arm, his grip too tight. You're not listening. This place recycles people. You're just the latest draft. Foreshadowing. His choice of recycles hints at the time loop twist in the finale. Twist. When Lena pulled away, the liquid words rearranged. He's lying. Scene 4. The bones in the walls. Daniel pried open a sealed closet Lena had never noticed. Inside, a child's skeleton curled in a fetal position, its fingers clutching a porcelain doll's arm, matching the one from Chapter 3. Twist. The bones were warm, as if freshly abandoned. Daniel's hands shook. This wasn't here yesterday. Connection. The doll's arm ties to Lena's childhood nightmares, suggesting the house digs into victims' pasts to manifest horrors. Scene 5. The reflection betrayal. In the bathroom, Lena splashed water on her face. The mirror flickered. For 1 second, her reflection wore Eleanor's hollow-eyed stare. Behind her, Daniel's reflection didn't move. Instead, it smiled and raised a knife. Twist. Lena whirled around. Daniel stood harmless, but the real knife from the kitchen was now embedded in the doorframe, still vibrating. Purpose. Blurs reality. Was it a vision, or did the house move the knife to sow distrust? Why this works. 1. Seamless tie-ins. Daniel's 3 knocks mirror the tape from Chapter 1, linking him to the supernatural. The warm bones foreshadow Chapter 7's reveal that the house digests victims slowly. The black liquid matches the tongue's transformation in Chapter 4, showing the corruption spreading. 2. Escalating mystery. The photo twist suggests Lena might be possessed by Eleanor, a reincarnation, or trapped in a time loop. Daniel's shifting allegiance keeps readers guessing. Is he a hunter or prey? 3. Psychological dread. The house manipulates reflections, making Lena doubt her own face, a visceral horror. Final line. That night, Lena dreamt of the skeleton reaching for her. When she woke, her wrist bore 5 tiny bruises, finger-sized and cold as grave dirt. Chapter 6. The whispers grow louder. Scene 1. The town's omen. Lena found the boy's body at dawn, slumped against the rusted playground swings. His lips were sewn shut with coarse black thread, the same shade as the veins now creeping up Lena's arm. Description: the stitches formed a crude smile. The skin around them blistered with frostbite despite the summer heat. In his clenched fist, a cassette tape labeled "For Lena" in child's handwriting. Purpose: the frostbite mirrors the unnatural cold from Chapter 1's package, showing the entity's signature. The tape continues the recurring auditory motif from earlier chapters. Scene 2. The voicemail. Back at the house, Lena played the tape. Static, then a wet gasp. The message: "Please help me, it's in the walls. Lena!" The voice cut off with a gurgle. Twist: the voice was hers. Not similar, identical, down to the slight rasp she got when terrified. Horror payoff: her phone buzzed. A voicemail notification from her phone number, time-stamped tomorrow. When played, it was the same scream, but longer. Connection: mirrors Chapter 3's recorder incident, proving the house manipulates time to trap her. Scene 3. Sleepwalking revelation. Lena woke to find her hands caked in dried blood, her nails split. The diary lay open to a new entry. "You tried to dig them out last night, but the walls healed too fast." Investigation: Footage from her camera, set up to document paranormal activity, showed her sleepwalking, scratching at the nursery wall with bare hands, chanting in Eleanor's voice. Twist, at the 3:17 a.m. timestamp, the crying child's hour, the footage glitched. When it resumed, Lena was staring directly into the lens, her eyes black and liquid. Purpose: confirms the house is possessing her during vulnerable states, foreshadowing Chapter 7's full takeover. Scene 4. Daniel's confession. Daniel found her burning the bloodied sheets. His pupils were dilated, too wide, like a nocturnal animal's. Revelation: my grandmother didn't just work here. She fed the house, brought it children to quiet its hunger. Twist: he unbuttoned his shirt. His chest was carved with the same symbols Lena had sleep-scratched into her arms. It marks its food, he whispered. Connection: the symbols match those in Eleanor's hidden room, Chapter 5, proving the rituals never stopped. Scene 5. The house's ultimatum. The whispers crescendoed into a deafening chant. Choose, join, or end. Physical manifestation. The walls bulged inward, forming a massive pulsing throat. From it dripped the black sludge, now shaping into human figures. The librarian, mouth gaping without a tongue. The dead teen, still smiling his stitched grin. And behind them, a girl in a waterlogged dress, Lena's sister. Psychological torment. The sister figure reached out. Stay with me this time. Purpose: forces Lena to confront her guilt over her sister's death, the house's key to breaking her. Why this works. 1. Seamless tie-ins. The stitched mouth parallels the sealed lips of the house's victims, Chapter 4's tongue removal. The black-eyed footage pays off Chapter 3's mirror scene, showing possession progressing. Daniel's carved symbols linked to Eleanor's occult past, revealed fully in Chapter 7. 2. Escalating stakes. The voicemail from herself confirms she's both victim and future predator. The sleepwalking footage proves the house edits reality around her. 3. Psychological dread. The sister's apparition weaponizes Lena's grief, making her complicit in the horror. As the figures advanced, Lena's veins turned black. The last whisper came from inside her skull. You've always been ours. Chapter 7. The Dark Revelation. Scene 1. The Ritual Room. The house led her to a basement that hadn't been there yesterday. A cavern of blackened brick, the air thick with the scent of burnt hair and wet earth. At its center stood an altar of fused bones, its surface carved with the same symbols that now pulsed beneath Lena's skin. The walls were not walls, they breathed, expanding and contracting like lungs. Veins of black sludge throbbed within the mortar, converging at the altar in a living, writhing knot. Purpose: reveals the house's true nature, not haunted, but alive. The breathing walls connect to Chapter 6's bulging throat, showing its full sentience. Daniel struck a match. The flame burned blue-green, just like the lantern in Chapter 2. His last words: Fire is the only language it understands. Twist. As the flames spread, they avoided Lena completely, licking toward Daniel instead. Scene 2. The burning. Daniel didn't scream as the fire took him. He laughed, his teeth blackening to stumps, his skin peeling back like paper. The revelation. You've been here the whole time, Lena. You just keep forgetting. Horror payoff. The flames burned away the floor, revealing the foundation stones beneath, each one etched with Lena's name, dated across decades. Lena Carter, 1982. Lena Carter, 1999. Lena Carter, 2025. Connection. Explains the handwriting in Chapter 1's letter. She's been writing to herself cycle after cycle. Scene 3. The truth in the flames. The fire reshaped itself into visions. 1. Eleanor Blackwood in this same room, carving symbols into her husband's skin to quiet the house. 2. Daniel's grandmother leading children down the basement stairs, their eyes glazed with terror. 3. Lena in a different era's clothing, standing over the altar with a knife. Twist. The visions weren't memories, they were options. The house didn't just consume, it offered roles. The sacrifice, Eleanor. The feeder, Daniel's grandmother. The architect, Lena. Purpose. Reveals the house recycles souls to sustain itself, with Lena always at the center. Scene 4. The choice. The whispers became a chorus. Stay, rule, live forever. Manifestation. The black sludge surged from the walls, forming a crown of thorns. It hovered above Lena's head, dripping onto her shoulders like a coronation. Temptation. The house showed her sister, alive and smiling, beckoning from the shadows. We could be together again. Connection. Mirrors Chapter 6's apparition, but now with a clear bargain. Submit, and her guilt is erased. Scene 5. The name in the foundation. Lena reached for the crown, then recoiled. Beneath the newest Lena Carter 2025 carving, the stone split open, revealing a tiny skeleton in a rotted nightgown, its fingers clutching the same porcelain doll. Twist. The doll's face was Lena's at age 6. Revelation. The house didn't just recycle her, it had her since childhood. Her sister's death was her first forgetting. Why this works. 1. Seamless tie-ins. The blue-green fire recalls Chapter 2's lantern, proving Daniel knew the house's weakness all along. The sister's apparition pays off Chapter 6's emotional torment, now revealed as manipulation. The foundation carvings explain Chapter 1's letter and Chapter 3's diary updates. She's reliving loops. 2. Escalating horror. Daniel's joyful burning confirms the house rewards complicity. The child skeleton reveals Lena's entire life is a construct. 3. Psychological depth. The roles, sacrifice, feeder, architect, mirrors Lena's struggle with guilt, survival, and control. Final line. As the crown touched her hair, Lena finally remembered. The taste of blood, the weight of the knife, the way her sister's hand had gone limp in hers. "I've done this before," she whispered, and she had. Chapter 8. The Aftermath. Combining the most psychologically devastating elements of all three options for maximum impact. Scene 1. The False Awakening. White light, beeping machines, the sterile scent of antiseptic. Description: Lena wakes in a hospital, wrists bandaged. Suicide attempt, the chart reads. A doctor with familiar crow's feet smiles gently. "You're safe now." The twist: the mirror across the room shows her reflection still sitting up in bed, staring at her with blackened eyes. The doctor's reveal: "You never left the house, Lena. You're just dreaming of gentler places." Purpose: mirrors Chapter 3's diary prophecy. "Tonight, you'll let me in," confirming her possession. Scene 2. The Grave Secret. Cut to Lena's real body, standing in the Blackwood Cemetery at midnight, her hands clawed bloody from digging. The discovery: the Blackwood graves are empty, their coffins filled with porcelain doll parts and cassette tapes. The ultimate twist: beneath them, a fresh grave yawns open. The headstone reads, "Lena Carter. She stayed." Horror payoff. Inside the grave, a living, breathing version of herself, smiling up with needle-thin teeth. "Took you long enough," it whispers. Scene 3. The cycle restarts. 1 week later, Lena's apartment. The package: a brown box on her doorstep, cold to the touch. Inside, a cracked doll, her own face now replacing the porcelain. A letter in her handwriting. Final twist: as Lena opens it, her hands age rapidly, wrinkles spreading like cracks. The letter reads, "Come home, Lena. You're late." Cut to Blackwood House's door creaking open. A new visitor steps inside. The walls whisper in Lena's voice. Why this works. 1. Devastating closure. The hospital scene provides false hope before yanking it away. The empty graves confirm the house consumes identities, not just bodies. The restarted cycle proves escape was never possible. 2. Seamless callbacks. The doll's transformed face pays off Chapter 1's nightmare imagery. The cold package echoes Chapter 1's first omen. The whispers in her voice fulfill Chapter 7's crown ritual. 3. Psychological brutality. The living doppelganger in the grave suggests Lena was never original, just another copy in the house's collection. The rapidly aging implies this is her 1000th loop, not her first. Final lines. Somewhere, a tape recorder clicks on. A whisper slithers into the silence. Let's try again.